Welcome everybody to another episode of Culture Cooking. Today is a special edition because we are working with Pink Lemonade and their new cookbook, Cancer Fighting Kitchen. I'm working today with Jamal, of course. He's going to be working with us because we're going to do technically two recipes.
Two recipes, yeah. One's going to be more of a chutney, so a side, right? So it's a tomato mint chutney, really refreshing. It can go on burgers, pasta. They're endless, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one is going to be
the red lentil stew, which I think is super delicious. When we tested this out, I mean, everybody loved it.
It was tasty.
And it was very quick, easy. And I never worked with lentils that much, but it is definitely something that it interests me. And plus, it's super spicy. So there's going to be a lot of spices that we probably don't use on a regular basis, or you might not use on a regular basis. So if that's something that you guys want to try and expand your spice repertoire, this is an easy recipe to start doing that with.
All right, so let's talk about our partnership with Pink Lemonade, right?
Yeah, so Pink Lemonade has actually been a little bit of working with us over the last couple of years. They help a lot of moms and young women who are, battling through cancer and giving support, or people who have gone through treatment and, kind of creating some really good narratives when it comes to the positive side of cancer, which I think a lot of it isn't so positive. So whenever you can put a positive into this, it's super important.
Yeah, so here we are taking this cookbook, the Cancer Fighting Kitchen, and we're just spotlighting some recipes that we think would be really beneficial for people in that community and for people in other communities to know about.
For sure. And I think, when it comes to cancer, you don't really notice it until it actually affects, you personally. So I think throughout this entire class, we'll talk a little bit about our own personal experience when it comes to cancer. And even for you guys at home, if this is something that, starts the conversation in your family about how can we eat better, or how can we also support people who are going through these things. There are tons of resources, and we'll add it into the link down below for you guys to check out Pink Lemonade and everything from there.
Yeah, so
let's get started. I'm gonna let you get started first because yours, it takes a little bit of time for it to stew down, and then I'll kind of chime in right behind you.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing that we're gonna start with is gonna be the tomato and mint chutney, right? So I picked this recipe out of the book because, spring is coming up, summer is right around the corner. This is a great accompaniment for a lot of dishes. We can put it on burgers, we can put it in pasta, we can add it to the side of this dal, or, that's what the lentil stew is called where I'm from.
Yep.
And it's gonna be really, really tasty. So the first thing that we wanna do is kind of run through some of the ingredients, right? So we have about 4 cups of tomatoes, and these are gonna be just diced up with the juice in there, right? And then we have some mint, really fresh, beautiful mint that we just got at the store. Some mustard seeds.
I love me some good mint too.
Yeah, mint, mint is gonna be everywhere for the next couple of months, so I'm excited to start working with that. We have some cumin seeds. And then a little bit of maple syrup.
So why are we using maple syrup?
So, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So in a lot of recipes where there's spice and there's a lot of, by spice I mean heat, so red chili flakes, we need to balance out that flavor, right, with something sweet.
Yeah.
So instead of using refined sugar, that's gonna be really bad for us on our glucose levels, you know what I mean? Maple syrup is more of a naturally occurring sugar, so it's gonna be a little bit more beneficial.
For sure.
And just a lot more rich in flavor too.
And less processed.
Yes.
That's super important. I love that.
So between the ginger that we have, the fresh ginger that we're gonna cut up, and the red pepper flakes and the cinnamon, we're looking at some real crazy spice. So the mint and the maple are really gonna cool it down and round out this whole thing.
Definitely, and plus the ginger is really good for anti-inflammatory. The spices is really good to actually get the blood pumping a little bit. So I think this is, in its own, I would say it's on the healthy scale, probably close to an 8 to 10.
This is a solid 8.5.
8.5, I like it.
First thing that we need to do is get our pan nice and warm for us. So I'm gonna get that started.
Okay, perfect.
Right? And we're just gonna unlock this bad boy. Okay, so this is gonna be a medium-high heat, right?
Yep.
And then,
And actually, that's a really good reminder because I'm going to be using a Dutch oven, and these take a long time for them to get really nice and hot. So we're going to do a medium heat, and we're going to get this going because this takes about close to 5 to 10 minutes on an induction burner.
so why does it take so long for this particular thing to heat up?
So this is a Dutch oven, which is made out of cast iron. This actually takes a lot of time because it's heavy. And the great thing about these is once they get hot, they stay hot. They keep going forever. I love these for stewing because it's even and everything like that, but you do have to take the time to actually get it heated up. So, you know, it can be like a pain, but in the same sense, when we're talking about cooking method, we really want something that is consistent and doesn't burn.
Exactly, I like that. This is one of my favorite cooking utensils, let's just say that, cooking utensils in the kitchen because of, you know, the durability. I can take this camping if I wanted to.
Oh yeah, you can put it on an open fire. You don't have to stress
put
about
this
it.
in the oven. This is great. So
Yeah.
I love that. So knowing your equipment is super important when you're cooking, right? So I have a heavy bottom skillet and it's gonna be wide, right? So because we want a lot of this liquid to evaporate. If we were to put it in something that was smaller, it'll take a long time for that liquid to kind of evaporate. So that's why we're
nice
using this.
wide.
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, I want to talk about the ingredients for our dal or our red lentil stew.
Yeah.
Over here you can see we have cilantro. This is going to be our garnish for our dal. But we can also use those stems to kind of be an internal flavor additive. We have tomato, we have cumin seeds, mustard seeds. We got a little bit of ginger because ginger is definitely Indian flavor. We have our lime. We have maple syrup because we're going with the more natural sugars. We have our cinnamon stick. We have our red lentils. And then for our already pre-ground spices, we have our cumin and we have our turmeric. So we have two different types of cumin. We have the powder and we have the whole spice. So I love this. We're kind of mixing up textures and everything like that. So I love it. And it actually does make a big difference when we're talking about like how does the crunch or the flavor actually is in there. And I love cumin seeds when they are actually like whole in
Yes.
food. You actually get that little bit of crunchiness because we're going to toast them up a little bit.
I like it. I like it. Sounds like a lot of flavor going on over there. So
So it looks like you've minced up your shallots.
minced up my shallots, nothing crazy, just super rough because this is a chutney, right? This isn't going to be like something super beautiful on the plate. So we're going to start with that. Now, pan's a little warm, a nice little swig, right? About a tablespoon and a half of some oil.
Yep.
And all we're gonna do is we're gonna add all of our spices, right? So that's gonna be the red peppers,
Love it.
the mustard seeds, the cumin, and the cinnamon. And we're just gonna let that toast up for a bit, right? So we're gonna activate the spices here.
Yeah, and if you guys are at home and you're like, oh my gosh, red pepper flakes, I cannot do not add it in. You can also just limit, like you can do like a half and then add more. So the most important thing about this also is we're gonna make sure we're adding in a little bit of something cold, or we're constantly stirring our spices so they don't get too hot and burn.
Right, so the pan, as you can hear, right, is kind of hot, and we just kind of want to toast everything, activate the spices. So I turned it down a little bit, I'm stirring it up, because once anything in this pan burns, it is going to transfer over to the final dish.
Yep.
So we're going to try to avoid that.
Perfect.
And we can already smell the magic happening.
Yep.
So that is great. All right, we're going to let that hang out for another 30 seconds or so.
Now it's super important when we're cooking, we're always controlling the heat. This is super important because if you're not controlling the heat, you're letting the food take control. And we need to control the food. We don't let the food control us.
Because that's the difference between, you know, someone who just started cooking and then a professional, right?
Exactly.
Understanding your equipment, understanding heat, and understanding the cooking process that you're applying to said ingredients.
Yep.
All right, so now I'm chopping up this ginger. So the ginger and the mint, they're actually gonna be added after all of the tomato evaporates. So we're gonna do that because once heat hits the mint, it starts to brown and wilt. So we wanna kind of keep it nice and beautiful and big and fresh. So right at the end, as it cools down a little bit, we are going to toss that in.
Move it. And that's looking good. Nice low flame, you're not too hot. We're getting that toasting, but we're also caramelizing our shallots, so that's super important.
So there we go. So this is, we're almost there.
Yeah.
I still see some whiteness. I want to see a little bit more translucency in these shallots to let me know that they've cooked down a little bit.
For sure.
So I've cut my ginger into little planks, and then I'm gonna go through and chop that up even more. Now we're adding a lot of ginger and a lot of red pepper flakes because we like it spicy. We like that kind of attention.
Yeah, exactly.
But at home you can customize it, right? That's something you can customize.
Love it. All right, so while he's doing that, I'm gonna get into toasting my spices. So we have our cinnamon sticks. We have, and I'm gonna turn my heat down again right before I put these in. We have our cumin seeds. We have our mustard seeds. And we're gonna let the whole spices go first. And we're just gonna let them do his thing. Give it a quick stir, be nice and happy.
Now the whole spices are in there first because they take longer, right?
Yes, but I also want to like get those spices activated, kind of like in yours.
Okay.
Where you're actually caramelizing your onions with your spices. I'm gonna do mine a little bit separate because I'm also adding more spices in a little bit.
All right, so now this is all toasted up. This is beautiful, ready to rock and roll. And now I'm just gonna add all of these tomatoes and the juice. So for us, this was one big can, right?
A 14-ounce can.
14-ounce can. So as we're working through this dish, it's always good to remember that this isn't a super expensive dish. Like both of these dishes together, under 15, 20 bucks, right?
Easily.
The most expensive thing here would probably be all of our fresh herbs, right? Because depending on your vendor, like the mint can be anywhere from $1.99 all the way up to $3 or $4.
You can just grow your own mint.
Or you can grow your own mint.
Grow your own mint.
Check out our Instagram, right? Check out our Instagram.
Green Thumb Wednesdays.
Green Thumb Wednesday. We are starting our own garden here, and we're partnering with our community to bring you so much more fun agriculture tips and tricks.
Yeah, urban agriculture is super important, especially for us because we're really focusing on how can we grow some of our own foods when our supply may be running out. So like we also understand there's supply chain issues all the time.
All the time.
And with spring coming up and everything like that, we want to make sure that we have all the best tools possible. And some of our best tools is our own backyard, or honestly, your own bucket. So if you guys want to check out some of our stuff, go to our Instagram, instagram.com/feedthemass or @feedthemass. Link's going to be literally right probably down here when we do this. All right, so you can actually kind of smell my spices are nice and toasty. They're smelling really good. We're going to add in a little bit of oil.
Nice.
Because now we're going to infuse the oils of our spices in with our olive oil that we're going to be using to cook our onions and ginger at the same time.
Ooh. Just depths of flavor. I love it.
All this flavor, building flavor now. As Guy Fieri would say, we're going down to Flavor Town.
Flavor Town, let's go.
All right, so you can kind of see, we're not like super high heat.
Right.
We're just gently cooking. Remember, this is a stew. We don't need to go super high heat. We're just letting everything kind of cook slow and low and do its thing. So yours is smelling good. I love that mint.
This is just hanging out, getting to know each other. Everyone's just like, hey, like, what are you doing tomorrow? Blah, 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 blah. This is great.
I love it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sweat these onions out for about a minute, maybe two, until they get nice and translucent, and then we'll add in our next spices.
By translucent, you mean like we can see through it?
Yeah, you're gonna notice that it goes from like a bright white to kind of a dull white. And I mean, I say translucent, but you can't really it's not gonna like dissolve or anything like that. It's just gonna get kind of cooked. And we don't want like caramelization. We really want just kind of sweating, getting a liquid out of this. Because remember, when it comes to stews or chutneys or anything like that, it's all about reduction. It's all about reducing the amount of liquid in the food to concentrate the flavor in whatever we're eating. Oh man, it's already starting to smell good in here.
I like it. So to make this like a really complete dish, right? We can make this tomato chutney, we can make the lentils, and then we can just add a little bit of rice, right? Some jasmine rice, some basmati rice, some brown rice.
So I'm on my own journey when it comes to health. And actually, like for me, rice has been like my lifeblood ever since I was a kid. And yes, you could totally add rice to this dish to kind of make it more fully. But if you are on a trying to lower your amount of carbohydrates you're having, because remember we're putting a lot of tomatoes, which is a carbohydrate. We're also adding in beans, which has carbohydrates and proteins, and then we're also adding a chutney, which is sweet and more tomato and everything like that. So we're trying to reduce the amount of carbohydrates that we eat, and also the amount of sugar. And I think if you're diabetic or something like that, this can actually kind of spike your insulin levels a little bit. So I would definitely say adding rice wouldn't be like always best. But another thing you can probably do is like you can just add some protein, so like some chicken.
Yeah.
Adding a little more protein to something sweet is probably a better situation. And then it still gets you that fullness. But when this reduced down and it gets nice and thick, like you probably won't even remember like if you need rice now. You're just kind of digging in and everything like that. But traditionally, rice, some naan bread, whatever, you know, some good sourdough, that will all work.
Thank you for that trip down science lane. That was really nice.
You know, we got to talk about a little bit about nutrition around here. All right, so you see a lot of water evaporating. That's what we want. That's good. Same thing with yours.
Yeah.
All this steam is water evaporating because we're concentrating flavors. This is concentration time. So we're going to be adding in our spices now. So we have our turmeric and we have our cumin powder. So this is very cuminy. I like it because I love cumin.
I love cumin so much.
Cumin is in almost everything I eat. I love cumin.
Eggs, potatoes, water sometimes. You know, you just got to get crazy.
Water?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Hey,
maybe.
I'm not going to judge you at all. All right, so we're going to go in and we have a couple of our limes cut up into little wedges for later, but we're going to actually add a little bit of lime juice, kind of deglazing a little bit. This is to add that lime flavor kind of subtly in the background. Not a lot, just a little bit.
So we got some spices in there. We're going to get
spices, nice and happy. That little bit of dried spices that we had are nice and happy getting in there. Now we're going to add in our tomato.
Nice. I love the sound of that sizzle.
We're going to add in some salt when we add in our tomato because we haven't added any salt in this entire process. Because again, we're concentrating things. So the more times you add salt, the saltier it's going to get at the end. So I want to add it probably in the middle and then start seasoning gently throughout the entire rest of the process.
So we're seasoning as we go, we're tasting as we go, we're building flavors, but we're being mindful about what the end goal should be, right?
Oh, for sure.
So reducing anything, which is a great point, reducing anything is going to create a concentrate of flavors, right?
Yep.
So if we're making a soup or a stock, great example, you're making a chicken stock, right? So the thing that you want to do so bad is put salt and pepper in that stock as it starts, right?
Yep.
But what will happen is because your stock is going to go from maybe 4 gallons to maybe
1 gallon.
1 gallon or so, all of that spices, everything that you put in there is going to just come into a concentrate. So if you add salt a little bit up here, it's going to seem like a lot down here.
Yep.
So for certain things, we want to know the proper place to season it.
And so another thing that we're going to use for seasoning is actually going to be our vegetable base. So this is amazing because it already has sodium. It's very low in calories, but it's already concentrated in that vegetable flavor. So versus having a bunch of vegetables and reducing it down and then adding in the stock, this literally just means that all you gotta do is just add in we're going to put about close to 2 tablespoons of vegetable stock into our mix. And this is going to be super impactful because again, we're getting a lot of umami and that's something we can't get in a short amount of time. And these again are quick, easy, and we don't want people having to go too crazy. So we're going to add in our vegetable stock directly into our mix and we're going to mix it. And people say, well, why don't you just add it into the water? Mainly because I don't know if I'm going to use all this water. Sometimes, depending on the lentils or the side onion, we're kind of judge. But the big thing is when we do this, we want to kind of put about close to a ½ inch of water right above all the ingredients. So you'll kind of see when we start putting it in. All right, so we're gonna add in our maple syrup. Are you at maple syrup time yet?
Almost.
Almost? Okay. So I'm gonna add my maple syrup in now.
We're still waiting for this to reduce probably another 5 minutes or so.
See, I'm almost done. I mean, in the sense of like the wait time. Now it's time to just wait. So like, hey, you're good. You do your thing. So I have most of my ingredients. The only last ingredient we got to add in is our red lentils. Very simply, go in. We're gonna mix. That's super important. Don't just put your lentils in and throw a bunch of water. Mix it. You want those flavors to kind of get on every little bit of lentils. So that when they start getting absorbing the liquid, they absorb a little bit of spices in with that. So it's a little bit of trick. For some people, they don't seem like it really matters. I think it matters.
I think it matters.
It's just a little bit of step, but it's just one of those things that like, if it makes it that much a little bit better, I say it's worth it.
Let's do it.
So we're gonna add in.
So the recipe calls for 8 cups, but you're saying just fill it up a little bit, let it
Yeah.
rock and roll, and then you'll just add some liquid as we go.
Yeah, because here's also another thing is like sometimes throughout the cooking process, your lentils, depending on your lentils, might need less water, might need more water. So I'm gonna go with, this is 8 cups. We're gonna go with, I wanna say 6 cups, just to start us off with.
Okay.
We're gonna bring this up to a boil. So we're gonna gently bring it up to a boil and then down to a simmer. And we're gonna let it simmer until all the lentils are done. And if we need more water, we'll add more water. If we don't need water, we don't need water.
Smart approach. I like it.
All right, so our dishes have been simmering for about 30 minutes now, and you can see that most of the water has been evaporated out of our chutney, and you can see all the lentils have kind of bloomed. And like I said, this is why we didn't add all the liquid, because it's actually pretty much cooked. We're gonna add just a little bit more, but if we were to put all 8, it would have been super soupy, and we really want this kind of be kind of stewy, thick, and happy.
Yeah, that consistency looks great. So good job or great call on not adding all that liquid.
For sure.
We had this cooking for about 20 to 30 minutes, right? And it was at a good consistency. So we took it off of the heat. So now it's just chilling here, and we're just gonna chop up our mint, add our ginger, and then add a little bit of our maple syrup, mix it all together, and we're done.
Perfect. So I'm gonna let you do that. I'm gonna start setting up for our garnish. So I'm just gonna chop off the top of the leaves of the cilantro and just do a 2. Simple, nice, fluffy, kind of like a little bit of a salad. Stems are okay, the soft stems, but not the hard stems, which are on the bottom. We're gonna keep this onto the side. And then next thing we're gonna do is, this is pretty much ready to go. And the biggest thing that we need to do is just balance out the salt. So with that, we're going to give it a quick taste.
How's that?
I think the salt's pretty good. It's actually really balanced, so I love it.
Super tasty.
Yeah. Now, if you're doing true Indian, there would probably be like more, so I would say even some capsicum or bell peppers and maybe some serrano to kind of spice it up. But if you want to spice it up, you can add your own sriracha or cayenne or red pepper flakes, wherever you want to spice it up if you like the more true Indian style. But again, we're really trying to keep this really friendly. People who are going through, chemo or anything like that might have also very delicate stomachs. So having spicy things is not going to be really super helpful in that process. So we really want to kind of make it this very friendly. So you can add little, add more if you want to, and have things more on the side. Keep it really simple. Love it.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Hint of spicy, really rich. You can taste all of the seasonings in there. Fresh with the mint. It's going to be a great accompaniment to our lentils here.
Right. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to kind of plate up. So heat off on both. Now the one thing about this is if you were to do this for tomorrow, both of these, it's going to concentrate even more on flavor, and it's going to be even more flavorful. So if you can, maybe wait till tomorrow to reheat this up, it'll be that much better. But we're hungry now.
So we're gonna eat it now.
We're gonna eat it now.
So I took out the cinnamon stick from here because we don't need it anymore. And now we're just gonna add this to our bowl.
Beautiful. And then so what I would do is you can use a little bit of the chutney and you can just really just dollop it right in the middle.
Oh yeah. Contrasted colors are great.
Beautiful, because we always eat with our eyes first. Then we're gonna take some of our little salad of cilantro, bring it onto the side, add in our little wedge of lime, and we got ourselves an amazing meal. There you go.
Thank you.
That was for you.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit more, like your experience when it comes to, cancer surviving or having anyone in your family have cancer?
So in my family, we don't have a lot of cancer issues, but I will say this. When it comes to food and how it affects our body, my family is really big on making sure that you get your vegetables in, you get your fruit in. We're eating with a lot of spices. We're eating with the ginger, the turmeric, all of those things. So from day one, my experience with food has been food is a way to nourish our body for energy and to also give us a chance to fight off, inflammation, the common cold, things like that. So I've always seen food as a way to, kind of like medicine in a sense.
Well, for me and my family, like there wasn't really, I would say, a prevalent thing about cancer, but health has always been kind of a focus. You know, I come from a really big family, and everybody in our family is big. Some people would say we're overweight. I say we're fluffy. But I think it's also a situation of, you know, it is also very much food is comfort. And sometimes, you know, when you're dealing with, you know, sadness or you're dealing with happiness, we all use food to kind of get us through both of those emotions. So I think, you know, having a cookbook that is inspiring and actually connects a lot of people, because if you like this recipe and you try it out and you comment down below and you say, hey, like, this is what I'm going through and I'm glad to got to see these recipes, you're connecting with us. And when you're connecting with us, you're also connecting with other people who are big, all about food, love their community, and trying to make sure we're connecting with each other. So just know that, like, if you're battling cancer or you've been through cancer, you commenting down below and saying, you know, hey, this has been helpful, or this is what I've been going through and this is what helps. Or even if you know more, you know, tips and tricks on how to eat stuff like this, and also, like, if you've already tried this before and then you've actually had some alterations, let us know, because, you know, the more information that we share with each other, I think it's going to be more impactful. And I love the fact that, you know, this cookbook, which, again, go on Amazon, get this cookbook. You can see all of our notes and stuff like that in here, but this is a really good tool for everyone. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to, you know, change the way they eat, change the way they think, ask more questions, and the ability to actually go from literally ingredients and into a bowl and share with your friends and have that conversation and also get that support. Super huge. So make sure, again, go on Amazon, check this out. This is going to be super helpful. And we have more videos that are going to be coming down the pipe. So if you guys want to check out more videos, again, make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel. Make sure you're liking, you're commenting, you're being a part of our community. You can also go to our TikTok, which is at Feed the Mass, our Instagram, which is at Feed the Mass, and our Facebook, which again,
at Feed the Mass.
So thank you guys so much for watching. Jamal, you're a good man.
Thank you.
This is good. I like the fact that we both got to cook at the same time.
Yeah.
This is, if you guys like that, if you like this kind of format where we're cooking two dishes or we're talking and some of that, let us know what you think. I love this because we get to cook together, we get to learn from each other.
We get to hang out, talk, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like we don't do that every day as our jobs, but, you know, this is fun to us. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Pink Lemonade. Make sure you check out the links down below on how you can get more involved with Pink Lemonade. If you are going through cancer or you're a survivor and you want to be connected with this group, make sure you check out the link down below. And again, keep on eating good food, y'all. And again, fight that cancer. Thank you all.